What's up, boss?
Steven, it's announcement day.
I have been waiting for announcement day for some weeks now.
For
And
months.
you and I have been working behind the scenes on the machinations behind announcement day for months, but I've been excited for the people for weeks.
Yeah,
And now
and
this is the big announcement is happening today.
unless you happen to be a part of the Insider Volley crew, in which
Yes.
case you have already heard this announcement by the time this episode publishes, then this is a big day for you. I mean, it's a real it's going to be one of those days I think that you look back on and say that was
I remember where I was on big announcement day.
yes. So, before we get to the big announcement,
Yeah.
though, how's everything going? It's been a little while since we've recorded.
Yeah. Things are well. Summer is officially over. We're trying to squeeze every last penny out of our summer pool membership this week. So we were like, let's go. After school, one day this week, we went to the pool. Water so freezing, the kids didn't want to play in it, and it was like, well, I guess summer's over. So school is back in session. I'm happy to report that my children went from dreading and moaning the beginning of school then in one day to school is the greatest thing ever. Love our friends, love our teachers, love the whole enterprise. So I credit our great school and our great curriculum choices for that.
Awesome. That's
How about
cool.
you?
We had the same deal. We started school on Wednesday. Today is Friday. Um, I would say it was mostly excitement at the return because I had been kind of putting them in front of books and things during the day for the last week or so before school. All of
Right.
the summer activities had all wound down, and it was kind of like, I guess, entertain yourselves because I got to work. So they were ready to go back, and they're enjoying being back.
Okay.
Here's a fun little tidbit about the return to school, though.
All right.
My oldest daughter has the opportunity
Penelope, is
to
that her name?
Penelope.
Yep.
Um, she is enrolled in a broadcasting course in which they are going to learn how to podcast.
Wow. And
So,
will one of her projects be how can I edit someone else's podcast for free?
well, I've been in touch with the teacher of this course and said I would like to come and talk with the kids because I am the host of one of the world's largest podcasts on how to run your home and your dough like a biblical
I
boss.
think it might be one. I think it might be the largest one that fits that description.
It's possible.
Yeah.
There's some bigger ones that are how to run your dough, and there's some bigger ones that are how to run your home.
Yes.
But
There are
if you
some that
want
are like how
one-stop
to run your
shopping,
firehouse like a biblical boss, but that's not us either.
no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of thinking we might have a little podcast editor on our hands, and I know that would make you happy.
That'd be fun. Maybe we can get some youngsters on. Maybe she could get some sort of credit for appearing on the podcast as a junior broadcaster.
Yeah, we need some credits to roll at the end of the YouTube film.
Oh,
Um, like
yeah, that'd be great.
right now it would just be Steven and Mark talking.
Well,
We would get credit for the talking.
yeah.
Steven for the editing.
As someone with a little bit of experience in the film industry, what concerns me there is when you have end credits, that means that checks have been written. That's the only thing that concerns me.
Well, no checks have been written to me, so I guess I would not receive any
Oh,
credit.
right.
But
Now that's a perfect segue into my setup for the big announcement.
okay, here we go.
Okay. Here's my setup, and then there'll be a drum roll, and then there'll be a big announcement. Okay.
You're getting paid.
Okay. This is the setup.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
setup. Okay. We here at Abraham's Wallet have been stuck with a conundrum. How long we been doing this, Mark? Do you know?
Since 2018.
Okay. So over 4 months, if I do the math correctly. we've been stuck with a conundrum. Number one, Abraham's wallet takes more and more of our time, and I would say specifically my time takes more of our time, and it has to date generated. Do you know how much money it's generated?
I do.
You can do the quick math.
It's a round number in every sense.
Yes, and you can't. It's not divisible by anything. It has generated $0 up to this point. It's something I've kind of been proud of. I'm pleased with that. But it's developing into a conundrum. We've been fine with that, but it does create kind of a squeeze on our time. Number two, conundrum. We believe, based on feedback and what we hear from people, both digitally around the world and also colloquially, people who just talk to us, we believe that what we offer here at Abraham's Wallet, which is some financial education, some Bible education, bringing those two things together, it's valuable, and that Bible believing dads would be better off around the world if they had these skills and ideas at work in their homes. I'd be quick to say the vast majority of ideas we present here are not original to us. They're things that we have gleaned or we've seen in the scriptures, and we simply just tell people about them. But holy moly, when we hear about people who I just met with a group of dads last night, and there were a couple dads there I'd never met before. And they said, hey, well, you know, what you guys do on Abraham's Wall has really had a massive effect on our home. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. So because we think that homes would be better off if they had these things, obviously we think that, we do feel an onus to expand our audience. And I hope I'd like to just put a caveat on that. It's not because I feel better laying back on my Chase lounge with one of those long cigarette holders, feeling like I'm the king of the world if I have the larger numbers attached to our, I don't know, Apple podcast report. I don't even look at those. It has nothing to do, I hope, with ego. But we just feel like, well, if this kind of package of info is what you and I have been given, then we feel a responsibility to find as many people as we can give that goodness to. So expanding our audience is something that we can do, but it takes time and money to do that. That's our second sort of conundrum, is the burden of expanding our audience. Would you say that you feel that in any sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. A number three thing is that people have asked us from time to time how to support us. And my answer to them has been, keep listening. I don't know. You got a new microphone laying around somewhere? I don't know. I don't know how they can support us. And lastly, from time to time, people come and ask us about merch, which we've never had, primarily because it costs time and money to generate that and do design work. And I think it would be great. And we and friends of ours have all sorts of interesting ideas of things that we could make and that would fit inside our little world of being a biblical boss. We don't have any of those things. So, drum roll, that's the setup. So the big announcement is Abraham's Wallet has applied and has been awarded nonprofit ministry status. So we are officially a charity ministry organization. That's our big announcement. And there has a bunch of subpoints that result from it.
Oh, Stephen, if this is your first time listening to the Abraham's Wallet podcast, I would recommend that despite how exciting we think this announcement is, that you rewind a couple weeks and maybe go back to where, you know, the start is a great start, but also 2 weeks ago, part 1 of the critical path to Abrahamic greatness is a great place to start.
Oh, it's a great place.
If you want to get to know us. But
And well, I think about 5 episodes ago, we did Why Does Abraham's Wallet Exist? So you might want to check that out.
Yeah. I think that the reason that I'm really excited about this is because we kept talking to people who are experts in things that you and I are not experts in. For example, social media people, marketing experts who know how to do marketing across all sorts of channels. And they said, well, what are you guys doing to grow this? And we said, we record a podcast and we publish it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we right now have a pretty large audience, but we don't have anybody on social media because you and I are not skilled or particularly interested in pushing that content out and cutting little clips. We just didn't have the
No.
time for that. Um, and I think that everyone we talked to with expertise in these different fields said, there's so much low hanging fruit that if you just walked around under the tree for a second, you would bump into tons of it. So we've been told, hey, with minimal kind of investment in this, you could grow your audience by 10 times very reasonably. And for me, Abraham's Wallet is perfectly lined up with the Parrot family vision and what we want to see accomplished in this world, the giftings that I think I have, and how I can put those to work in the kingdom. So I'm very excited to actually have an entity that we can use to not only give to personally to make this thing grow, but also to invite people so that, whether it's upgrading your equipment so that we don't have to see you for our loyal YouTube listeners with the boring background and shoddy microphone.
There's
Uh,
already a refresh happening behind me right now.
oh, really?
There's no cinder blocks behind me. You have not noticed that.
So there's a few little things that we just need to do, like equipment upgrades, and um, then there's some things that I guess I'm particularly excited about, like expanding how we do email, expanding how even reviving that blog that was the thing we did exclusively for the first year.
Yes.
I just want to say that this isn't something that we woke up and said, well, how can we monetize this audience that has come together around us? It's really something that we finally gave in and said, everyone we talked to questions, why the heck aren't you guys doing more? And we had good answers to that, but it feels like now is the time to steward this little thing, Abraham's Wallet, in a new way and put some gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, the number one reason that we haven't done anything like this up to this time, and it is something that I still will fight for, is that uh, you know what? Having a free podcast that you can listen to is a nice thing, and we want to maintain that. We want to keep it that way. And I couldn't figure out a way for us to expand this and keep it free. And I didn't want to put it behind some kind of paywall or subscription, anything like that. And you and I have had mixed feelings about even doing advertising. Taking advertisers. We might get our head around that someday, but not right now. So I mentioned there are resulting points that happen from this decision, our being a nonprofit ministry. And one of them is simply that we're going to be able to give more time to this thing. That means that our website will be refreshed. I don't know if that feels like any value to anybody, but we'll get a branding makeover. We've never had one of those official professional branding makeovers before. And we're going to start up our social media presence seriously, like actually go pursue the people who are surfing around and looking for resources and actually try to find them and bring them into our network of people.
Can I quickly shout out to my buddy Austin, who
Yeah, you can.
back in 2018 or whenever we started with the blog, I had written a few articles and I was ready to put the blog up, and I said, "Well, I guess we need a logo." So I texted my friend Austin, and I don't know, 10 minutes later, he sent me back a logo, and that's what you see today if you go to abrahamswallet.com. So
the little A and the W.
we have gotten we've gotten a lot of mileage out of that 10 minutes
At
of
10
work,
minutes. Yes, we
and
have.
I'm thankful for everybody that's helped us in those ways along the way to get to where we are now.
Yes. So I've already hit on the second sub point, which is we are going to put some effort toward expanding our audience through social media. We might experiment with some ads, whether those are YouTube ads or I don't know, ads on Instagram or wherever else. Um, and possibly applying to like present at conferences what we do, you know, in again in service of finding the people that would receive what we have to give. And we know that there are multiples of our present audience out there, but we have never gone out to find them. So that's the second thing. A third therefore of being an official recognized nonprofit charity is that we can now accept tax deductible donations. And we thought through this a lot, and we've put together a little machine of thank yous that we wanted to figure out. Well, we can just throw it open very general and say, would you like to support what we're doing? Would you like to help expand our audience for what yeah, we could do that. But there are things that you and I have made or are making that we think, well, it would be great to kind of give this to who is our like insider people, who are people that would say like, I'm in on what you're doing, and whoever those people are, we'd like to say thank you with some of these things. So we'll talk about that in a second. The fourth thing I want to mention is that we are going to have a fun little merch store on our website. And we are going to simply have cool, good looking Abraham's Wallet stuff. And we'll also maybe have some like statement items that will help folks kind of declare this is who we are and this is what we believe in a fun or provocative way. And I'm looking forward to working on some of that. And we, from the very beginning, we had friends that would recommend to us, you guys ought to make a hat that makes this statement on it about being a biblical family leader or something like that. And we're very open and eager and willing to receive people's wisdom on what kind of things they'd like to be said to the world about who they are and being a biblical boss. But anyways, that's kind of a fun therefore about the kind of refresh that we're going through here at Abe's Wallet. Thoughts?
There's two buckets of stuff to talk about. One is the things that we know that we're going to do, and I think we kind of mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the first things that we're going to put these funds to work towards are expertise and boots on the ground labor to expand social, to make our video and audio quality better, to get the Abraham's Wallet reach out into a much larger swath of people. Um, and then there's all the stuff that we've kicked around that would be awesome. And I'm sure that a lot of that is coming just in my experience since we've been doing this. The we wouldn't have ever guessed what we're doing 2 years ago today. What we're doing today, we would never have been able to describe to you 2 years ago as our goal. Um,
Sure.
I never thought it would ever be reasonable to do video content, for example. Um, I
Right.
thought, I thought, well, surely we'll have a huge, Facebook following by then. We don't, but we've still managed to grow. So, um, I think that stuff is fun. That's stuff that we've even been talking to some of you guys about over on the Volley channel. Um, and I guess what we can express today is probably only a small slice of what I think is
Sure.
possible if people continue to get introduced to this, and if some of you guys decide to support us as a part of your family's generosity spend.
Yeah.
My family, like I said, has decided to um, contribute heftily to this effort. So we're going to be seeding kind of this initial phase or this new phase of Abraham's Wallet in a way that really does allow for the purchase of some of those things we talked about. And um, so I'm just kind of humbly asking that if this is something that you do have giving dollars and you are like our family and have kind of gone, well, we set aside giving dollars, but we don't just autopilot give them away every month. It's something that I think we would just ask you to consider. If you don't have any giving dollars and you're struggling to pay the bills each month, everything that you've been experiencing thus far is still going to be produced and served up to you every Wednesday at the Abraham's Wallet podcast. And I don't think there's any concerns that that's going to go away, like you said, Stephen. But um, I
Not
do
only
think
is it not going away, it's going to be better. So that's the number one thing that I think would benefit people is let's make this thing as good as it can be. So let's have a better scene than what you see behind me here, and let's get first rate recording equipment. And if I'm going to do a tour of Jeremy Pryor's home, for instance, then if there's a good camera that I should be walking around that house with, darn it, let's get the camera.
there's a good camera crew that you should be walking around that house with.
Exactly right. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So I'm I'm excited for all of that. Even some of the partnerships that we are in talks on to develop that go beyond just run your home and your dough like a biblical boss at Abraham's Wallet. Part of this is that we've started talks at this point with other podcasts and organizations, and we think that we're going to be able to bring you, if you choose, a lot more content than you've been getting from us, so that there's the option to kind of get exposed to and have some content that was potentially previously not free and can be a part of what you get out of the Abraham's Wallet podcast. I think it's too early to say podcast network, but that's one of my dreams, Stephen, that there would be a whole set of folks talking about
Same,
different types of topics.
same. So I'd like to talk about our little donation program here for a second. So uh, I if anybody's ever heard of Patreon or these, there, there's like levels of giving, and then there's like these little benefits or thank you packages that go along with that. We thought that would be very fun because, as I said, there's things that we have made. Um, our little guides. We've kind of got our little volley uh, community. Um, I make music. We've mentioned that a couple of times. I have music that's coming out that I'd like to just hand to our people. I don't know if they want it or not, but there's things that we have and we've made and that we
Can
want.
I can I
Yeah,
interrupt? The new music is, as the kids say, fire. Do they say that? It's
they
really
do.
good.
I don't know if that's going out or not, but that has been said in the last year.
I'm a big fan of the new album, and personally, I would think it was worth giving a six-figure amount if that got you the new
Wow.
album.
Wow. Well, I'll mention that upcoming album, which has not been released yet, but which you have been sent. Um, it's not been published yet, but I've got some new worship music that's not out yet, and I'll mention that in a second. Um, so I want to do a little caveat here before I talk about this, which is I want our people to know. I know we're taking like an entire episode to talk about this, but I'm here to tell you we are not going to murder you guys with a fund drive forever. I don't. I'm here to say we're not going to do that. I don't want you to every time you listen. I don't want you to feel like, geez, they're going to ask for money again. I don't want to do that. We're not becoming that. We're not going to do that. But we're going to give a kind of a basic ad for this for the next few weeks, something in the next 4 to 6 weeks, because we know that our listeners do jump in and out and people skip an episode or two or three. So I'm going to ask right up front that you give us grace on this as we kind of roll this out. We've never done this before. We just want to make sure everybody knows what we're doing. That's all. Um, and if you will go to abrahamswallet.com/donate, you'll see these little categories that we've got. And do we want to talk through some of those, Mark?
Yeah, I
Some
think
of
that
those thank yous, the fun thank yous that we've put together.
you're gonna have to go over to the site to abrahamswallet.com/donate to get the exact breakdown of what goes where. But why don't you
Yeah.
just pick out a few of the things that
Okay.
at different tiers people
All right. All right. We won't have to
can
go through every
expect to
item,
enjoy.
but we our three tiers that we've thought up is we've thought up Abe's family. That's the general. There's a couple of passages that talk about Abraham's distant relatives. That's Abraham's family. We're connected somehow. Yeah, these are our people. Then there's a little bit smaller group, and that's Abraham's table. The people that come into the home and we sit and share together. That's more of the insider crew. And then the very closest ones, yea, verily, Abraham's bosom. Those who are right up in his chest, up in his grill.
We
So
we do
yeah,
have part of being a 501(c)(3) is you are required to nominate a board. And so
that's
we
true.
that has been already phenomenal for this podcast because
True.
we were able to find some really, really sharp board
Wing
members.
dingers.
And one of the board members said, I would really like you to call something Abraham's bosom because everybody giggles when you say bosom.
Ah, well, I had thought about naming the characters in Abraham's story, and I've always wanted to work Arphaxad in there somewhere. I was thinking about, but that's not quite as cool as
That
Abraham's
sounds like
family.
a Christian homeschool spelling bee challenge. Like,
Arphaxad.
spell Arphaxad.
Uh-huh.
Please use
Abraham's.
Arphaxad in a sentence.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, as you said, we'll just throw out a little teaser on what's there. You're welcome to go to abrahamswallet.com/donate and see everything that's there. But Abraham's family, uh, is, we would send these people, for instance, our summit guide. Okay, so that's something that is a baseline. It's something I personally need just to like operate my home. We update that every year, and it will get you out on the summit to make sure that you and your wife are on the same page for the year to come, so you can create some goals. Also in there is a digital download of an existing worship record of mine called "We Need God." So I'd like to give that. I'd like to give that to people as a little thank you. Okay, Abraham's table. Abraham's table. So a couple of things in there is, well, we people have heard us invite people to our volley space before. We've asked people to come there. And I'm here to tell you, here's one of today's big announcements. As of today, we are sealing that off. There's a hermetic seal that's happening so that
I
all the
can't wait
people.
to hear the sound effect that you chose for
I was just
hermetic
thinking that's
seal.
exactly what went through my mind when I said the word hermetically. I thought, boy, if I could find a sound effect for that. Anyhow, so the people who are there, they're in, okay, but you can't get in that space anymore just as a guy wandering around off the street. If you want to be in Abraham's family, Abraham's table, Abraham's bosom, yea, verily, his bosom, then we're going to invite you into that space. We've talked that up before. That's a great place for not only the benefit of whatever wisdom uh, these two chuckleheads come up with, but the wisdom and benefit of our entire network, which is nationwide.
Maybe people have undervalued just the opportunity of being able to pop a video on, ask a question, and have 5 godly families answer your question in 24 hours.
Pretty
Like,
cool.
um, some of those families might even be your family and mine, Stephen. Like, we try to stay on top of those, but
Sure. Yeah.
to
Sure.
me, huge value.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one thing that we're excited to get into in the next while is live streaming some of the recordings. So you and I are talking now live on a Friday,
Yep.
and this will air a few weeks from now. But we think it would be so cool if some of the folks at Abraham's table could actually join us for the recording, and we could have some Q&A on whatever the subject is and get some face to face with some of our people as we're recording. So we're gonna start doing that, live streaming. I hate to go through every one of these, but I'm kind of excited about all these things. One thing
Yeah,
that
I
we
don't
want,
think you should. I think you
I
gotta leave some mystery for the people, but
that's fine. That's fine, but I have to explain this. Otherwise, they're going to find it and not know what it is. Our good friends over at Viceroy, and this is Mark Douglas. If you remember me talking to the Douglases recently, that was in May. We were poolside and we talked about their education, their educating of their children. Um, Mark has an outfit called Viceroy, and they create an e-zine, which is called Time and Materials. Now, you and I enjoy time and materials,
an
but it's something that we want to give to our
e-zine,
people. Go ahead.
an
What?
e-zine, an electronic magazine. I'm
Uh
not even
huh.
sure that word is in the vernacular, so I wanted
Well,
to
call it a
pause.
PDF. There's a well designed PDF document that goes out monthly.
Yes.
Can you describe time and materials to the people?
Time and materials, I get it in my inbox once a month, and it is always it's like I'm sorry, Mark, if you're hearing this, but it's kind of like when The Economist comes, when I used to subscribe there, I like would kind of it would sit there for a few days and I'd be like, I should read that. I will be better off and smarter. But it's something to do and it's on the to-do list. Maybe I'll get around to it. Every time I actually pick up and read this thing, I go, this is such stinking high quality content and it's entertaining and there's witty stuff. They even put artwork in there that you can print out
Yeah, that's
and
true.
put somewhere in your house to make it more beautiful. So
And
we
there's
had a
album reviews,
conversation.
movie reviews.
Yeah, there's culture stuff, there's how to think about a current event, and then there's old school theology conversations, all sorts of stuff. So every time I read it, I go, I wish that thing was 100 pages because I just enjoyed it. So I think that time and materials has got to be one of the coolest little perks on this
Yes,
list.
and these guys are right down the line with us. I mean, they're pursuing exactly the same thing. We could have written it ourselves if we were smarter and more talented. So we're happy to offer that to you folks. Now let's move on to Abraham's bosom. There's only one thing I want to talk about in the Abraham's bosom world, and that
Stephen's
that
bosom.
is that I would like to bring you not only into Abraham's bosom, but my very own bosom, because what we're as a thank you to people who want to donate on this Abraham's bosomic level, is I want to actually give you my time to sit down with your family and us have a video call and talk about your family vision. It's something that I've done for a lot of families. I love doing it. People say that it's very valuable to them, and I'd love to actually give you my time and talk to you about where your family's going, what your family's vision is, have you worked on your goals, and just give you some helpful third party feedback about whatever God's doing in your family. Um, that's something that excites me to kind of give people as a thank you. Now,
Yeah, and this is something that you do regularly for clients of ours over at our
yes,
financial planning business,
yes,
Outpost Advisors. And I always joke, but it's not really a joke, that people pay us a fair bit of money to create these comprehensive financial plans for them. And, I spend many, many hours going through the minutia of people's financial lives and trying to come up with opportunities and help explain them and all this stuff. And I won't say without fail, but very frequently the number one most raved about component of our whole deal over there is the time that people got to spend with you. And sometimes you
yes.
just went through their family vision statement with them and told them this needs to completely change because what
Yeah,
you just
that's
said
true.
what you just said could be said of any Christian family
Yes.
anywhere on the planet.
Yeah.
But definitely families that work with us over on the financial planning side, our day jobs, they get a lot more regular touch points and kind of deep dive. But we said, if Stephen's going to be working through Abraham's wallet on this ministry on an ongoing basis, we would like to share some of that with people who want to partner up with the ministry and support it kind of on an ongoing basis. So that's another one of the perks of being in the bosom of Abraham.
Sweet. Well, okay, so there it is with our silly little levels or whatever our little, I don't know, levels that we've come up with. Um, and so I want to throw this out. You mentioned the upcoming worship record, which is called the Worship Furnace. Wow, sounds super spiritual and intense. So that's the worship record that I've done that is getting ready to be released. Here's my special offer. Are you ready for a special offer? I hope I can come up with some special offer music. I think that this is airing August 31st. I think. And if it indeed does air August 31st, then if in the next 2 weeks, let's say September 15th, if you will simply pull out your phone, click on the link in the show notes, go to abrahamswallet.com/donate and do your thing by September 15th, I'm going to send you a pre-release digital download of the Worship Furnace, my new little worship record. I don't know if that tantalizes you. Mark says that it should.
I think if anybody wants to get real generous on there too, I'd be willing to, because you sent me this album a few weeks ago, and
Uh-huh.
I've been, as I sent you some video, we've been learning these songs on our piano. And I'm not a very good piano player, but I'll send people video of me singing and playing piano to some of these songs. So
Man,
you can hear how it's supposed to sound, and then you can make fun of me playing the piano and singing.
incredible generosity. Wow, people, listen to what this guy's willing to do. So the last thing that I want to say on this, and I'll just look right into your hearts as I say this, we do have an ask, okay? And the ask is that if you've been here a while, you're here regularly, you consider yourself to be a regular listener, whatever that means to you. I consider myself to be a regular listener of Abraham's Wallet, and you've gotten value out of it enough that you come back and recommend it to friends, etc. We're asking that you would support us and support what we're trying to do with the cost of a cup of coffee a month. That's what our sort of lowest level Abe's family is. That you would support us with a cup of coffee a month to help make this sucker and expand our reach to more families that aspire to become biblical boss households. So if that doesn't describe you, I don't even know why you've listened this long, but there's no expectation on you at all. Enjoy the delightful podcasts, which are, in the very near future, going to be supported and provided by other people that listen. And they're happily making this available to you. So anyways, that's the ask that they're out to you. That's the simplest. I think it's $5 a month that we're asking. That's the cup of coffee. I hear you can spend $8 on one cup of coffee. But anyways,
You certainly can. I've
yeah,
seen you do it.
you put the stuff and the mixing and the topping and the whole. Yeah, you can do it. Anyways, that's where we're coming from, and that's our big announcement.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, you'll see this if you go over to the donate link, but some people it makes sense to have a monthly donation. That's why for most people that's the easiest way to just kind of plug something in and be an ongoing supporter. If you're in a spot where you say, "Hey, I would like to donate a big chunk all at once," that's something that can still get you to some of these reward levels. And furthermore, it's also really helpful to us as we think about, hey, how are we going to plan for what we do in what order to make the podcast better? And like I said, this is you can give and support in any way that works for your family. There's a whole bunch of options. You don't have to sign up for some service, but I think that I'm trying not to let myself get too far ahead, Stephen, but
Okay. But you're a
I think
dreamer.
about the exactly. I'm a dreamer. I think about the possibilities of grants and what we could do if we really expanded a certain point that would be providing like tangible value. I think back to our little pickleball night in Texas and think,
Here,
man, we would
here.
love to be bouncing around the country a few times a year and seeing our listeners face to face and providing not just pickles and chicken, but real value in other ways. So
And gathering those people together and giving them good content and all sorts of great things that we could do.
that's right. So check out the link, look at the perks, but also like Steven said, if this is giving you value and you're in a place to do it, even if you're not in a place to do $5, we would be thankful for any way in which you
Sure.
would support this podcast. We really believe that the Lord has kind of paved the way for us to make this change at this time. And next week, we're going to be back with an episode that we were thinking about doing today, but that would have been way too long of an episode about how to select business entities. So you might have a side hustle and you think, should I have an LLC? Should I have a different type of business? You might be doing something like we just did and say, I have a house church. Should I have a 501c3? How would I even go about starting that? So we're going to talk through that question. Um, and I actually think it'll be valuable. That's one thing we've discussed lately is getting back to a little bit more of a regular cadence of always at least every other week or so providing some tangible financial tips to our audience in addition to all the biblical household management stuff we do. So I'm excited about that. And like Steven said, we'll probably pitch this change for a little while, and after that, you might just hear us tell you that Abe's Wallet is a ministry supported by you guys, and you can always donate by clicking the link in the show notes. So, thank
Sweet.
you guys for bearing with us.
Yes, thank you for humoring us with the last 40 minutes or whatever it's been. And thank you for indulging us, our little excitement about our new lease on life. And I also just want to say, since we're talking about us for all this time, I'm just really grateful for all of our listeners, and I'm
That's right.
I'm really grateful for everybody that supports us. And just by listening, we see who listens and how long and where they are, and it tells us, oh, we hear in that, keep it coming, come on, give us more. So we're encouraged by all of you, and we appreciate all the support that we've had for these many years, and we're excited about what lies ahead as well.
That's absolutely right. You can support this podcast in a lot of ways, and a lot of you guys have been doing it by copying a link and texting it to three of your friends and saying, "Check out this episode." That has been really 100% of why we've grown to this point in time. So we would not be we would not be in any spot to do what we're doing now if you guys hadn't already supported us a ton up to this
Here,
point.
here.
So thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Mark. We'll see you soon, and we'll talk about business entities.
All right, catch you later.
All right.
What's up, boss?